This week on Art of the Air, our entire feature interview is focused on the Lubeznik Center for the Arts with Executive Director Janet Bloch and the new Education Director Nelsy Marcano and the Marketing Director Samantha Bean. Our spotlight is on Cathy Feeman discussing her solo exhibit at the Chesterton Art Center during February and March with a reception on February 5th.
Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. You're in the know with Esther and Larry. Art on the air today. Stay in the know with Larry and Esther. Art on the air our way. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart.
Welcome. You're listening to Art on the Air on WVLP 103.1 FM and Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM, our weekly program covering arts and arts events throughout Northwest Indiana and beyond. I'm Larry Breckner of New Perspectives Photography, right alongside here with Esther Golden of The Nest in Michigan City.
Aloha, everyone.
We're your hosts for Art on the Air. Art on the Air is supported by an Indiana Arts Commission Arts Project grant through South Shore Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts. Art on the Air streams live at WVLP.org and is rebroadcast on Monday at 5 p.m., plus is also heard on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM every Sunday at 7 p.m., also streaming live at lakeshorepublicradio.org, and is available on Lakeshore Public Radio's website as a podcast. Our spotlight interviews are also heard Wednesdays on Lakeshore Public Radio. Information about Art on the Air is available at our website, brech.com/AOTA. That's Brech, BRECH.com/AOTA. That includes a complete show archive, spotlight interviews, plus our show is available on multiple podcast platforms, including NPR One. Please like us on Facebook, Art on the Air, WVLP, for information about upcoming shows and interviews. And we'd like to welcome to Art of the Air Spotlight. We've had her before in an in-depth interview and also talking about some of the activities at IU Northwest. But she has her own exhibit opening at the Chesterton Art Center running February 1st through March 26th. And it has a reception on Saturday, February 5th at 11 to 2 p.m. Please welcome Cathy Feeman to Art of the Air Spotlight. Welcome, Cathy.
Welcome.
Hello. Glad to be here.
Well, now you tell us just briefly about your art practice, but then we want to know about the exhibit and what we expect, the title of your exhibit and everything like that. So tell us a little about that.
Yeah, what mediums will be represented in this exhibit as well.
Okay. Most of this work is primarily painting, and I've been really interested in this cold wax and oil paint technique that I kind of evolved. But I also have some elements of photography that will be in there and a couple of book forms that complement the pieces on the wall. So the theme of the last probably 3 bodies of work that I've made centers around this idea of mooring, a time, a place, and a people. And so these are on that idea, these different bodies of work, but shifted in a little bit different focus. So they will have a similar feel. I often use this imagery of topography, not typography. It just kind of evolved as a key element in just sort of the way that our sort of personal narratives and landforms are kind of built around these experiences we have and memories, how we interpret them, how we live them out the first time, and how we recall them and pass on our experiences to our communities and cultures are built. So there's that. It's kind of a poetic look. It's not sort of a representational art form. But I really want people to just sort of enjoy the work, but just to sort of, I'm hoping to transfer more of a feeling and an experience than this is a XYZ.
Right. Probably why, because the title of the exhibit is Shadow Moorings and Undercurrents. So that first part, Shadow Moorings, is quite evocative.
Well, the shadow part of it is really referring to literally some of the pieces, and also more of an idea of memories being kind of a shadow of an experience or a recollection or even family histories that are passed on. It is kind of a shadow. And then actually some of the pieces, the subject matter that this topography is built around is actually the shadow that was taken from a family photo. So rather than the figures, it's really the shadow that was cast in there, just sort of to emphasize that whole idea of, we're just sort of remembering a shadow of the event as it really was. And then the undercurrents, that's the most recent body of work. Mooring and Undercurrents was really referring to the stories that were being told from the women who immigrated in and helped build the Southeast Chicago steel mill communities, because their stories were really their lives really were more undercurrents in those communities, although some of them were business owners. A lot of them, they literally built their communities. They welcomed other immigrants and even those who didn't speak the same language. And there was still a lot of economic sort of undercurrents in those communities. So it's a lot of that stuff tied together.
So tell us about some of the other things you are doing. We've interviewed you before, but just for our audience that might catch this interview, you're involved with IUN and some of your other art practice in the last couple minutes we have here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've had some experience teaching, and I've enjoyed that. But I received my Bachelor of Fine Arts from IU Northwest, and since I graduated, the School of the Arts has been formed that encompasses communication and performing arts and visual arts. And for the last 3 years, I've been working for Lauren Pacheco. She came on as the director for arts programming and engagement. So I help with exhibitions and campus engagement projects and community projects. We're actually offering a series of Third Friday community workshops. We started that in the fall, and they're going on through the spring. So just a lot of we're just looking for fun, engaging ways to bring art into our communities and to really just sort of get some visual exposure for the School of the Arts as well. So I do a little bit of everything here.
So quickly tell us, we have got a little over a minute left, how COVID's impacted you both there and in your art practice.
Oh, wow. Well, I found that it's impacted people in so many different ways. I've known artists who their studio practice just soared during COVID. They just really focused. For me, it was challenging because part of my main studio is here on campus, and campus was closed. We had to really push through to find innovative ways to do public engagement when things are shut down. But we actually launched an Art in Action community pop-up events during COVID, and it was just a way to do something that was outdoors and really sort of socially distant, and just for people to. It was really born out of one of our faculty members has toddlers at home, and was just saying, so many parents they just want to get outside and do something with their kids. So we thought, well, this is an audience. They're just looking for something that we can just go walk around and see some interesting stuff and have some art. So it's that was one way that we.
Well, very good. At Chesterton Art Center, February 1st through the March 26th, with reception on February 5th. Cathy Feeman's exhibit there. Thank you for being on Art on the Air Spotlight.
Yeah, best of luck, Cathy.
Thank you.
You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM. And now this edition of Art on the Air, we are going to cover the Lubeznik Center for the Arts and also the people that are working there making things happen. If you know anything about Lubeznik, it serves a vibrant showcase for exhibitions, a vital hub for the community there in LaPorte County and beyond. They have art education outreach programs and great exhibits. And one of the people behind that is, of course, their executive director, which we're pleased to have here on Art on the Air, Janet Bloch. Welcome to Art on the Air.
Magnificent Janet Bloch.
Hello.
Oh, Esther. Hi. Thank you so much, Larry and Esther, for asking me to be on tonight.
We want to kind of you to share your story a little bit about your personal journey. I always like to say how you got from where you were to where you are now. So where you grew up, where you went to school all the way through and everything like that, and before we get into other parts of your career.
Okay. Well, I was born a long time ago.
Not that long ago.
I was born in 1955. I tell people I used a hairdryer that had a bonnet on it, and I had to be right near the outlet. So I am starting to feel like I really have a history. But I'm the youngest of three girls, and we grew up in Chicago. And I can't say that art was really like this important thing in my home, but I think in that generation, my parents' generation and kids who grew up, baby boomers, basically, I do think the arts played a more important role in our schools and in our just having some kind of cultural background. And so my parents did take me to museums. My sisters loved to draw, and we always had some art books in the house. And they all had an impact on me. My father especially loved to pull out different books of paintings. And at some point, my father took us all to Europe. I was only 7.
Wow.
My oldest sister's 11 years older, so she had a really different experience. But we did visit Rome, Florence, Paris. We did go to the Louvre, and we did see the Statue of David, and everything made an impact on me, quite honestly. And I went to the Art Institute several times with my parents, and then also with my school. And I always really loved to look at art, and I always felt it was special. I mean, we dressed up when we went to the museum, and we listened carefully to the docents, and I would just say that there was something early on where I felt like I was okay. Well, one of the things that happened was all my teachers always told me I could draw well or whatever. So I think that makes a real influence on a kid when you are encouraged by your teachers. And so I used to just sit for hours, and I would watch TV, and I would draw while I watched TV, and I would copy comic books, and I would, by the time I was in high school, my high school, we actually moved to the suburbs at that point, and I went to New Trier West, and they had an art department. They had a really developed art department, and we learned about art history. So I think from the time I was in high school, I really knew that I wanted to be an artist, and I got great enjoyment out of doing art and learning about art. And that's kind of what happened. And I ended up.
So Janet, what were you drawn to? What kind of art were you doing? And in the museums, were you drawn to any particular time period or style?
Well, I remember when I was young in 6th grade, we went and saw an Andrew Wyeth show at the Art Institute. And I don't know that I was drawn to that style, but of course it was mesmerizing to think somebody could paint so realistically. But I remember seeing a film about him and at the Art Institute. It was a short film, and the film talked about how he had this dead deer hanging from a tree in one of his paintings, and he had a collector, and the collectors wanted him to paint out the dead deer, and he said no. And that made a huge impact on me. Yes, way to go. So I suppose. But then in high school, when I was in high school, I don't know, maybe it was 1971 or something, we went to the Art Institute again, and it was right after the installation of Georgia O'Keeffe's cloud paintings, and those really just delighted me. It was like, wow, I don't know what it was, but just this innocence and a little bit of pop. You know, those are the few pieces that she has that have a little bit more of a, you know, like she doesn't make realistic clouds. She, you know, they're kind of these patterned icons. And I don't know, you know, I just, I liked a lot of, you know, like a lot of kids in high school, I liked surrealistic stuff. I liked abstract stuff. When I was in college, I discovered books on de Kooning. And I remember those made a huge impact on me.
Right.
So, you know, it's always been a journey of taste. And then the biggest influence was, you know, at the end of my college career was really when the feminist art movement started. And this whole embracing of a narrative that was personal, that was somewhat decorative, illustrative, that spoke to me. Miriam Shapiro was a visiting artist at the time at the Art Institute. She gave a lecture that kind of changed my life. And I would just say that, you know, so many influences, but I do think that art is
What was the lecture? I mean,
it was on her work, and it was on her forming Woman House in California with Judy Chicago. But her work especially has a lot of heart. And I think she's, you know, I don't think she's underrated, but I think she's underrepresented in the museum world, and really a spectacular artist.
So can you share how your life changed then? That statement, it changed your life. I mean, I think we all have those pivotal moments when something just connects.
I think it's the first time I really connected with the kind of art I wanted to make. It was no longer like lessons in art or projects or given to me by teachers. It was, I want to make art about being a woman, about my, you know, my interior, my narrative, my home, which was always very important to me, my domestic life. And I want to make art where I can incorporate all those girly things that I love, like beautiful pattern. Now it's very commonplace, but in the 70s, it was a minimal world out there in the art world. And most of, you know, so it had an influence on really inspiring me to make the kind of art I would then make for a long time.
That's wonderful.
Tell us a little about your formal education in art, where you went to school, and, you know, degrees and your focus upon those.
So I have a degree from the Art Institute, both a BFA and an MFA in painting and drawing. And I finished my BFA after going to University of Miami in Coral Gables, Florida, for my first year of school. Then I was home. I took a gap year, they call it now, but my father was dying. And then after he passed away, which was that 1 year, I went to University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. And then I came back, and I lived in Rogers Park, which is also where I had grown up. And I pretty much finished out all of my schooling by taking the L when it was 35 cents. Seriously. And commuting. And, you know, I liked the Art Institute because you had a much more broad, you could really take so many varieties of classes and techniques, and like you didn't have that whole thing. I'd already taken actually all the stuff that I had to take, like, you know, 2D design and 3D design and this. But it had really interesting art history classes that were different than U of I. And they had, you know, I mean, it's not as big as it is now, but I mean, I remember taking a class where we constructed sculptures that were inflatable. You know, I mean, we're going to find that in Champaign. So that's my formal training.
So at what point did you connect with Women Made then, or Woman Made?
Woman Made wasn't until, let's see, I was already quite a bit older. I connected, I knew all about the other women's galleries and nonprofit galleries in Chicago at that time. Most of them were co-ops. Like they still had like a juried membership, and they supported women, but more of their own community. It was still felt kind of elite, and Women Made had a different model, I just went to a show with a friend of mine who invited me, and I was like, what is this gallery? I'm so surprised I don't know about it. And I went, and it was a storefront in Ravenswood, and it was charming. I think that at the time I was 36, so I'd already been out of school. I got my master's when I was 22, and so I had been painting and doing artwork, but I had not really entered into I should say I did do some things. I had some grants. I did some artists in residencies in different cities, and they were different at that time. And then as I was sort of getting back into getting more serious about my artwork, because I had to still make a living, so I was waitressing for a long time. I connected with Woman Made, and something happened. My life changed again. My friend Beata Minkowski, who was the founder, and I just had some kind of synergy. And the person she started Woman Made with really had more started it they did their senior show from Northeastern. Beata, they were returning students. They were older, but they needed a place to have their senior show, and they rented a storefront, and then they wanted to keep it as a studio. But Beata really had this vision for a women's gallery, and I don't know, it just was the thing I wanted to do. And I said, well, what's it going to take? And I put in $2,000, and we applied, just so we could pay rent for a few months. And then we decided I'd pay myself back. And so we applied for the 501c3, which was really quite grueling at that time. And we got a board of directors. We asked people to be on our board, and we learned everything we could about nonprofits. And we did. We learned how to write press releases, and how to hang shows, and how to sit with jurors, and how to ask people to, we started poetry readings. And I can't even tell you all the performances. And there were a lot of really fun, crazy times. We did a mural in the back that you could see at the Ravenswood L. The L stopped right there. And we did a thing called the Wall of Women, which we jokingly called the Wall of Gina. And I don't know, women kept coming. They're like, that was the thing. It was like, people would just be like, what is this place? It was just so grassroots and charming. And then we soon realized that women really didn't know anything about how to show their work. And so we started to put workshops together based on what I learned, because people come in with a painting, and they'd be like, we hang this painting up. And I'm like, well, maybe this time, but not again. You have to get some tools. And really at that time, I would just say that we weren't taught tools, women or men, in school. That was not part of you didn't learn how to write an artist statement. That was not part of the art school experience like it is now. But I would say we were really kind of on the cutting edge of that we saw the need, and then we started to offer the workshops to everybody. And actually, that's how I made my living for a long time after Women Made, was workshops and clients.
Had you done the book at that point, or did the book?
I hadn't written the book at that point. I really wrote the book when I started at Lubeznik Center, and I wrote a book called Strategic Marketing Tools for artists. And the reason I wrote it was I felt like I had put all this work into these really provenly successful ways of doing certain things, and people were people were getting grants. Like my clients were getting big grants and getting residencies and getting accepted into shows and building their resumes. And I just felt like because of the way I taught it was very experiential, I wanted to put that into a book, almost knowing that I wasn't going to be able to get back to doing that anymore. That I just wanted to have it written down, that this is how I taught it, and this was something I developed. And it's not a complex book, but I think it really helps people understand how people who are, gallerists or curators see work, how they're, there are criteria. It's not anything goes. And a lot of it has to do with how you present it.
Right. Cold call is not always a good thing.
Out of curiosity, is the book still available somewhere?
It is. I actually have some copies at Lubeznik Center's gallery shop, but I also have a couple boxes here. But I sold a lot of them in the beginning, and then I had a website for a while where you could buy it. I've brought them to conferences and given them to the students because, I want it out in the world. And
I think it's on Amazon.
It is on Amazon. Thank you, Esther. You know what? It is on Amazon. You're right.
It's a really good book, and your workshops were wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like teaching, and that's one thing that I know about myself. I don't get to do as much of it now, but I really do enjoy. There is a good feeling about being able to communicate that information in a way that people can actually absorb it,
So you were a gallery manager at Woman Made for about 10 years, left there about 2003, and then you went on to go to Artist Road to Success and did that for about 5 years.
Well, that was my business. I actually then defined what it was and had a website and sold my book through it and had clients, and that's what that was. And actually, I moved to Chesterton in 2004 to be. I also had shown in galleries since. I'd been represented by a gallery since I think 1995, and two different galleries. One with two different names, and then another gallery when that one closed. And I really moved to Chesterton because I wanted to have more room to make my art. And I knew I could have a studio here. I was way outgrowing my sunroom in Chicago. So that was actually the motivation, and the cost of living being cheaper. I was going to be able to get more, survive longer. Yeah. And then the Lubeznik Center never expected or planned for. So I'll skip ahead and say, I was a public art finalist for, I think, 6 different projects. Never got one, but I know a lot about public art. But what I mean to say about that is I was very serious about my career as an artist, and I feel like I was functioning at a higher and higher level. And then 2008 hit, and all the savings that we had were diminished greatly. And, I just realized that this art business is quite a luxury. And at the same time, somebody told me they were looking for an education director at Lubeznik Center. And it just turned out to be the place that I would thrive, that I feel like in my life I've thrived the most. So, if you'd asked me at Woman Made, I would have said that. And if you'd asked me as an artist, but I'm very content.
Well, tell us quickly, because we're actually down to about 2 minutes left, Janet, because this has gone fantastic.
Gosh, yes.
I know. About Lubeznik, you came there first as education coordinator director, and then moved into the executive director chair. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
Honestly, the journey was that I just love Lubeznik Center, and I could have been happy as education director always, but I had an opportunity. Somebody else basically had the opportunity before me, and I just think wasn't well suited to it. And they asked me, and I mean, I couldn't have played it cool if I tried. I was like, absolutely, it's what I want. And I do love it. It's a place that I think it's a place of impact in the region, and it delights me to provide that. And I know I'm really feel bad that I'm talking so much about me, but I will just say about Lubeznik Center, it's I recognized what it could do right away, because I'd been in Chicago long and seen, you almost have to fight to with other nonprofits to serve kids or serve adults or do whatever. It's like, oh no, this was really so beautiful. And, the direction that we're going with the kind of art we have planned for the next 2 years is kind of blowing my mind. It really is. And, we're going to have a Vivian Meyer show, and we're going to have, this summer, we're having some of the most recognized African American artists in the nation, and we have an opportunity to expose our community to this unbelievable level of art experience, and we're serving a more diverse audience all the time. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm doing not just what my artwork life is about, but my works life is about. And,
how fulfilling.
Very fulfilling and content.
Well, we're just about ready to wrap up. So tell us how our audience, where Lubeznik is, and contact information, website, such as that.
Thank you, Larry. It's 101 West Washington in Michigan City, Indiana. You can find us. It's a hell of a name, but it's LubeznikCenter.org is our website, LUBEZNIK center.org. You can call me anytime for scheduling a tour, finding out about scholarships, classes. It's all on our website. You can, but that's the easiest way. I'm always there to talk to people.
Well, we appreciate you coming on Art in the Air. That's Janet Bloch, the Executive Director for Lubeznik Center for the Arts in Michigan City, sharing us about what's going on. You can find that information there at LubeznikCenter.org. Janet, thank you so much for being on Art in the Air.
Have a wonderful year, Janet.
Thank you. It's embarrassing. It was like my bio. Thank you both. You're awesome. Hope you come visit.
You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM. And we'd like to continue our interview here with folks from the Lubeznik Center for the Arts, talking about what's going on there and everything. So we're bringing on the Education Director, Nelsy Marcano, and Marketing Manager, Samantha Bean, and they're going to continue to talk to us about, first of all, their art journey and their journey working in the arts, and a lot about themselves and what's going on in Lubeznik. Both of you, welcome to Art on the Air.
Welcome. It's so wonderful to see you both.
Hi, thanks for having us. Thank you so much.
Well, let's start with Nelsy. You tell us a little bit about your background. I always like to say how you got from where you were to where you are now. So tell us all about yourself and how you got to where you are now.
Sure. So I was an undergrad at Columbia College in Chicago studying art history. And from there, I went into art education, graduated from Indiana University Northwest with my master's in that. Got right into teaching, started in the region at a high school in Portage, and then moved on full-time to Chicago Public Schools, where I was an art teacher there for 4 years. Wonderful experience, taught at a bilingual school, so had that experience, and came back to the region and came across Lubeznik, and well, here I am.
So what about the earliest? Like, when did you start in the arts? Elementary school, in your family, before that?
Oh yeah. So the passion came from my mother actually. She was very much into the arts. She wanted to be a fashion designer. So I remember kind of drawing, dresses with her as a kid. And I actually went to a school that didn't offer very much art programming, which is the reason I'm a big advocate for art programming in our schools and through organizations like Lubeznik that are able to offer it to students and kids who might not have it otherwise. So I'm really passionate about this position and what we do.
Very good. Well, Samantha, we'll move over to you and just ask you a little bit about the same question: how you got from where you were to where you are now.
Sure. I graduated from IU Bloomington with a degree in journalism and communications. I've worked in the marketing field for about 10 years. I spent about 5 of those years solely concentrating on graphic design. But when I came across this Lubeznik position, I jumped at it. I've always been a big proponent for the arts, whether it be visual or performing arts. So this was kind of just a culmination of a lot of things I love.
In high school, did you, I noticed that you did a lot of theater. Was that in high school or elementary school?
I got into theater in high school. I injured my knee when I was a freshman, so I had to stop dancing and kind of transitioned into theater.
So what shows were you in your short theater career?
I was in Grease, Spamalot, Little Shop of Horrors, Beauty and the Beast, Guys and Dolls, Snoopy the Musical, Evil Dead the Musical.
all musicals. Well, that's where my career is, mostly musical theater. So, and where'd you go to school at?
I went to school at Lake Central High School in St. John.
Okay, very good. So you have that background. So I was the director at the Munster Theater Company for 18 years, and then at Center for Performing Arts for that. So very good. So how has theater then influenced your transition to more marketing and in the arts?
When I was in college, I had an internship with the IU Auditorium, and I just loved it. I tried to stay as long as I could. I didn't want to leave Bloomington. I didn't want to leave IU. I loved the position that I had. Just being able to share the arts with everyone in the community is really why I do what I do.
So, Nelsy, back to you, just for real quick. Maybe, and Esther will probably explore this more, is tell us a little bit about your personal art practice yourself. What do you do? What, besides teaching and education, what do you want to do when you're doing your own art?
I'm doing my own art. So that takes me back to my early college years. I actually began as a pre-med student, and I was going to be a doctor. So you can imagine my parents' delight when I came home and told them, I'm going to be an artist now. No, but they were very supportive. And something that I took away from those studies were, kind of the biology, those beautiful illustrations that you see in those textbooks. So a lot of my personal art leans towards more like medical illustrations. So like musculature and things like that is kind of what I'm drawn to, just like those organic forms and shapes. So yeah, that's kind of what I deal with personally.
And when I was going to school, that's what they told me to go into, was medical illustration.
Really?
And it wasn't that, I mean, it's appealing, but it was not what I wanted to do. Yeah. But I do appreciate the forms as well. So what medium do you like to work in the most? Do you have a favorite one?
Yes. So I, for the illustrations, I used a lot of ink and watercolor. Is what I like to do. Just, how watercolor kind of supports the forms and it kind of flows in with it. But right now I'm doing a lot of just colored pencil and loving that. So yeah.
I know what it's like to come up with curriculum. So do you have time during this beginning part at the Lubeznik Center to to carve out time for your own practice? It's so fulfilling to do curriculum and work with the kids that sometimes we forget that we also have art practices.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very similar to being, an educator, even though I was a art teacher, you're kind of making samples and building that curriculum. You kind of have to pass on, your own projects. So it's a balance. And I certainly think that working at a place like Lubeznik is very inspiring for an artist because this is such a creative atmosphere and you're constantly collaborating with artists and looking at, our exhibitions coming in. So it's very inspiring to me. And I just want to go home and start on my own work.
That's so good because the place is so physically beautiful itself. It's like that Hyman Gallery is just so delightful.
Yeah.
As well as the upstairs galleries too, but
yeah, it's all good. And even, downstairs, in our NIPSCO galleries, we have our shows here. Right now we had our, Social and Learning Institute and Paladin show. So students from those classes, so seeing like local artists and then, our bigger, galleries upstairs, all of it, you can just kind of take it in and it's all just inspiring to be around.
So Samantha, are you still drawing? Do you have an art practice independent of marketing and graphic design?
No, I kind of stopped my drawing and painting and physical art in high school. I haven't really gotten back to it.
So as marketing director, what are some of your challenges putting the word out about Lubeznik? I mean, it's well known in the LaPorte and beyond, but tell us about some of the things and initiatives that you're doing to maybe expand on that.
Well, one of the things that we really have to deal with is COVID and bringing people into a large space with a lot of people. One thing that Lubeznik Center has done is started these smaller private tours. We're always free and open to the community, but we've started doing these smaller private tours where you could call ahead or email ahead and ask for a certain day or time, and we'll show you and your group smaller tours of all of our exhibitions so you're not so heavily inundated with a lot of people. We also have online virtual tours for students that Nelsy loves to film. That's a new initiative we've started since COVID, and those are wildly popular with children and our art teachers that like to come here.
Yeah, that sounds fabulous.
So, Nelsy, tell us about some of the programs that first of all, you came into an existing educational program, but, things that you currently have and some things that you're maybe looking to develop.
Yeah, so it's been amazing kind of getting a feel for everything that's going on. Lubeznik is very involved in the community. So like Sam was saying, we have our student learning tours. We do a lot of outreach programming. So we're involved with Safe Harbor for the after school program. Again, with programs like the Social Learning Institute and Paladin, working with those adults and offering art classes to them, as well as our Teen Arts Council. That's been definitely a highlight of this position for me, is building a strong core of local teens and being able to offer them, art supplies and having local artists come in and talk about their work, all free of cost to the members, has been awesome and super fun just to engage with the youth of the area.
Are they mostly Michigan City, or do they go beyond on your teen council?
Yeah, we've expanded. So we're going as far out as Portage High School right now. So we've got Portage, Valpo, LaPorte, and then of course our Michigan City group. So we've really expanded that, and I'm excited to do that and to partner with new schools. And then obviously we have our spring classes coming up. So all of our wonderful in-house classes that you can find online, those are coming up pretty soon. And then the family days that we have, our next family day is February 12th from 1 to 3. And it's going to be inspired by our current exhibition entitled Nature Now. So that one's going to be super fun for, families to come in, get a tour, make a project based on the exhibit. I always enjoy interacting with the community in that way.
You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM.
So I noticed that your dog is named Picasso. Is
Yes.
Is that also one of your favorite artists?
Oh, yeah. And it was just a cute name for a very snobby Pomeranian, I thought. But yes.
My girlfriend, her dog's name is Kahlo, so it's a...
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Sweet.
Well, expand a little bit on what actual classes that you have at Lubeznik. And you talked about them in generalities, but just give us some samples of, what types of things that they can expect of all ages.
Sure. So starting with our younger ones, we have drawing for young artists. So that's for 7 through 12 age range. And then we have mixed media for middle school and high school. So that's going to be an awesome class with an instructor who takes them through watercolor and collaging.
And the fabulous Michelle Weiser.
Oh, yes, of course. Michelle is still, here. And then we have our workshops. So we're doing a fused glass workshop as well as a felted flowers one. So those are super fun. And then we have our core classes. So we have abstract painting 1 and 2, beginning and advanced mixed media. That's with Michelle Weiser. She's great. And then, of course, our Sandcastle writers, the ever popular group.
Completely.
Yes. So those are all things that we have offering this spring and available for registration.
So starting wine and canvas at nights this spring as well. So Nelsy's got 2 of those set up, one in February and one in March.
Yes, and those are led by yours truly.
So Samantha, what's your next campaign that you're working on for the Lubeznik Center?
Well, we're getting ready to plan for our next exhibition, which is going to be Latinx American, which features all Latinx artists from all over the country. Some really great art, and I'm really excited about that one. We also received a grant, a Cash Reserve Fund Challenge grant from the Gaylord and Dorothy Donnelly Foundation. If we raise $25,000 for our cash reserve, they will match it. And so we're also really excited about launching that and getting this cash reserve. So we focus on sustainability and all of our programs for a long-term lookout.
Oh, that's something to look forward to. That's wonderful.
Samantha, maybe people don't know what a marketing director does, so let's go through, and I know there's not a typical day, but what is it? Tell us a little bit about a typical thing when you come in, either a day or week or something like planning for upcoming events, what's going on currently.
Sure. Lots of emailing, checking my email, keeping up with that. Press releases, social media, working with our corporate partners and our media partners, sending out direct mail pieces, working on copy for all of our art galleries, working with our grant writers, branding. It's just something different every day.
It sounds very full.
It's probably a very full thing. So, and how do you interact with the media? I mean, are you the ones that's kind of become the spokesperson for the thing, or is it more what you've been talking about, emailing and behind the scene?
I would like to say that Janet, our executive director, is our spokesperson. So I'm the one just kind of coordinating her appearances. She's been here for so long. She was the education director before, but she's now the executive director. And so I like to put her in the spotlight and listen to her talk and be so passionate about what we do.
Yeah, she certainly is passionate about the arts.
So, Nelsy, back to you. Do you have any classes that you want to do that you haven't implemented yet, or something where you brainstorm and said, I'd really like to do, and you just need either resources or something, or just the opportunity?
Absolutely. I mean, as an educator, you're always kind of thinking of what else can I bring? What's new? What's trending? So there are a ton of classes that I would love to bring in. And, it's about collaborating with other artists. So, having the experience of going to a local university, what my colleagues are doing now and, teaching. So being able to bring in those connections that I made as, a college student.
So Nelsy, are you also doing a summer program?
Yes. So we have our summer camps going on and summer classes. So we're working on all of that right now, getting down the themes and the curriculum to work on. Mm-hmm.
And is that mostly an outdoor program or is it indoors as well? How are you?
Yeah, both. So for, the children's summer camps, there's definitely aspects where they get to go outside, whether it's, just for breaks or lunch or even going out into the community. We're working on like nature themes for some of the curriculums. So seeing, what areas might be available to incorporate maybe gardening or farming, things like that. So we're always excited to see like, where we can take the students and what we're able to do.
And this might be for both of you. So is the art fair and the gala, is that in the works as well?
Yes, they are. We actually opened up the artist registration for the Lubeznik Art Festival recently. So if anyone is interested in showing at the art festival this year, you can sign up online at lubeznikcenter.org/events. But we also have our gala this year as well.
Is the plans for the gala going to be in person? I know you never can predict with how COVID's influenced us over these past couple of years, but you're going to try to actually have one in person. And when approximately will that run?
The plan is to be in person this year, and we are looking at June 25th for our gala.
With the art festival, is it going to be the format of galleries inside and individual tents outside still, or is that going to shift?
We're still keeping that format, yes.
Good one.
Yeah, this year is going to be our 40th annual, so definitely have some surprises and extra kind of events in the works. So we're excited to put that on this year.
Yeah, the Lubeznik Art Festival is August 20th through the 21st.
Very good. So any visioning you have, we kind of talked about that for things that are coming, and I know this might come more from Janet, but just what you guys are involved with, interacting with everyone there, because it's kind of like a pool of very creative people for future Lubeznik expansion or anything like that.
Yeah, so as far as programming, we've already begun implementing a bilingual program. So I'm very honored to head that and offer bilingual tours and things like our family days. We're able to offer that to our Spanish-speaking community now. So we're really excited to work with local partners to continue that and carry it forward. Also introducing programming like ASL tours, so American Sign Language, just anything that we're able to begin and run to bring in more audiences and be inclusive and diverse. That's our mission, and that's what we are excited to bring forward in the future.
So Nelsy, who curates the NIPSCO galleries? I mean, do you bring in the art for? I know that the area artists have the small room, but do you curate the other room?
Yeah, so that's something that I came into the position. We plan these things kind of years ahead. So we're still carrying out the former schedule, and I'm starting to kind of bring in artists. And yes, so that's one of the definite perks of being able to curate as education director has really been exciting.
And Samantha, so we talked about your day-to-day and everything like that. Any plans outside of Lubeznik to do, what do you like to do for fun, for example, outside of work?
Every now and then I'll do a show around here at a local theater. I do that for fun. Recently I was in Guys and Dolls at the LaPorte Little Theater.
Okay.
I love doing shows there. They're great. But I like hanging out with friends, going, out to eat, drink, having fun. I'm a little bit of a couch potato too, so just sitting on my butt is is always fun.
And Nelsy, same thing for you. What do you like to do, for fun outside of the art world?
outside of the art world, so I can't say my working on my art then. I mean, yeah, just local things, movies, and I'm gonna say galleries because that's outside of the art world. If you're an observer, yeah, I mean, Picasso takes up a lot of time, and I'm happy to spend it with him. So, yeah.
Well, we have a little less than a minute left, so tell us about how we can find out about all the things going on at Lubeznik Art Center, different things going on. So whichever you want to take that, website's contact information.
Sure. Well, you can always find us online at lubeznikcenter.org. You can always call us at 219-874-4900. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and you can always sign up for our emails when you're on our website as well to keep up to date.
Very good. Well, we'd like to thank you for being on Art in the Air and sharing about your support of Lubeznik Center for the Arts. That was Nelsy Marcano, Education Director, and Samantha Bean, the Marketing Manager. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
You've been listening to Art in the Air, and we'd like to thank our guests this week on WVLP 103.1 FM and Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM, our weekly program covering arts and arts events throughout Northwest Indiana and beyond. Art in the Air is heard every Friday at 11 a.m. and rebroadcast Monday at 5 p.m. on WVLP. Art in the Air streams live at WVLP.org and is rebroadcast on Monday at 5 p.m. Plus is also heard on Lakeshore Public Radio, 89.1 FM every Sunday at 7 p.m., also streaming live at lakeshorepublicradio.org and is available on Lakeshore Public Radio's website as a podcast. Our spotlight interviews are also heard Wednesdays on Lakeshore Public Radio. Thanks again to Greg Kovach, WVLP Station Manager, and Tom Maloney, Vice President of Radio Operations for Lakeshore Public Radio. Our theme music is by Billy Foster with a vocal by Renee Foster. Art in the Air is supported by an Indiana Arts Commission Arts Project Grant and the National Endowment for the Arts. Underwriters for Art in the Air, Walt Breidinger of Paragon Investments and Marilyn Van, Arts Patron. Art in the Air is always looking for financial support. We'd like to thank our current supporters. If you're looking to support Art in the Air, Esther and I especially would invite you to become an underwriter of this program in particular. We have information on our website at breck.com/AOTA. You can find out support information there. So don't just be an Art on the Air listener. Become a supporter or underwriter in whatever amount you're able to do so we continue to bring you great content and this great local programming. And like I say every week, don't give till it hurts. Give till it feels good. And you'll feel so good about supporting Art on the Air. Information about Art in the Air is available at our website, breck.com/AOTA. That's Breck, BRECH.com/AOTA. That includes a complete show archive, spotlight interviews, plus our show is available on multiple podcast platforms, including NPR One. Please like us on Facebook, Art on the Air, WVLP, for information about upcoming shows and interviews. If you're interested in being a guest or sending us information about your arts-related event or exhibit, please email us at aota@breck.com. That's aota@breck, BRECH.com, or contact us through our Facebook page. Your hosts were Larry Breckner and Esther Golden, and we invite you back next week for another episode of Art on the Air.
Aloha, everyone. Have a splendid week.
Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. You're in the know with Esther and Larry. Art on the Air today. Stay in the know with Larry and Esther. Art on the Air our way. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world